That is fair. I mean, you sort of say Reiki provided that comfortable, soft place to land. It was a tool that you used as part of your journey. And sometimes it was really difficult, but other times there was incredible experiences that motivated you. And I think, anyone who's listening to the Guiding Voice podcast are on this journey or about to embark on a very radical change and just are looking for those answers. And that really is a tool. Reiki is a tool for that answer, and that you found it, but it's not always, bubbles and, and stars, is it? There are going to be moments where you really have to dig deep and reach out for it in greater circumstances.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Whenever I started receiving Reiki, because I was stressed out trying to find my life purpose, at first I was like, well, maybe it's just magic and I'll just go in for one session. I'll never have anxiety again. So I had that. It did make me feel really good. It didn't necessarily just wipe away all my problems, but it did make me feel nice. I felt great. I had felt better than I had for a while right after the session and probably for a day or two later. So I started receiving it more consistently. And then the deeper I got into my spiritual practice, the deeper the Reiki took me. And that's when I got into like the shadow work and pieces like that. I followed one spiritual teacher, and she said, when you get serious with God, God gets serious with you. And you can, of course, swap that out for any name that resonates, higher power, meaning that, a lot of times people enter into the spiritual path for many reasons. It could be so many reasons. It could be healing the body, or healing the mind, or following a purpose, or just all these different opportunities that guide them to this path. And I find that the opening, the doorway, you see however expansive it is, and things start to resonate and things start to feel really good. And then often there comes a point where you get more serious about it. And that's whenever you go deeper into your wounds and really deep into the healing and the shadow work. And so Reiki has been a tool that I used for those very enlightening moments, and
Right.
for those very
Very deep.
deep
Yeah.
purging moments.
And can we ask you then for a couple of the examples of those deep purging moments? Because I mean, we all talk about, the shadow side and the dark side, and you know on the other side of that is always a light, but when you're going through it, it's not necessarily going to you're not kind of thinking, oh, it's fine, I'll be fine, and however long it's going to take, you don't. So can you give us some examples of what else you used? I mean, you used your Reiki, but how did you go about it? What did you do?
Oh, I used all of the things. Yeah, I've used so many different things. So in terms of using Reiki to go through that, I would give myself Reiki. Or I also had one of my best friends who I met in Reiki school. We would exchange Reiki, and I trusted her, and I really could go deep in sessions and purging and all that kind of stuff. I felt safe to do that. So I would often either be receiving a session or giving myself a session, and things would come up. Things would really come up from the depths. One, something that really, really stands out as a deep purging healing moment was my father had passed away probably 10, well, no, not 10 years. Uh, well, almost like 9 years before I started Reiki. So almost a decade. And I did not know how to process that. He showed me unconditional love. He was my safe space. Like, I could not process that at the time when I was 20 years old. And so I took a week off college and I went back and I got straight A's. And that was that. And I couldn't even, like, I wouldn't talk about my dad. I wouldn't tell people that he wasn't alive. Like, I just couldn't take it for years. And then I do this, like, it was like a 2-hour Reiki session on myself, and all of that energy, all of those stuck emotions that were there that had been suppressed just came up. And I knew what it was. I knew what was I was purging and processing. And I had never cried that hard in my entire life. Like I couldn't breathe. Like just literally I thought I was like suffocating for a second. And I know that sounds intense, but after that, there was still more healing to do because I'd opened. It's not like that just did everything, but I opened all everything that was just stuck in there for almost a decade. I opened it, I allowed it to clear. And then I could really work on, the wounds and the pain from that. And it was no longer scary. I could see it from a place of love and compassion.
Yeah.
Um, and then I could connect with him too, because I couldn't feel him because I was so blocked off. But
Yeah.
then after that, then I could feel his presence and talk to him and ask him for help. So that was one of the biggest healings, purges that Reiki in particular helped me with.